What's up, everyone? Getting to hang out with my buddy Chris Stewart, my old play-by-play partner on the original Bama Tailgate Show. And let me remind you guys that you're seeing this as like a sneak peek. This is what's going to be on radio on Saturday across the state on our different affiliates. And then, of course, you'll hear Chris on the Crimson Tide Sports Network, as always. So this is like, just so you know, when we go into radio show mode, when you hear that the band start to strike up, it's Saturday. It's just to let you know, which is confusing, but it's the only way I'm going to get you on my show Saturday. Yeah, right. You're going to be too busy lining up for homecoming.
Yeah, I'll be in charge of blowing up the floats at 4:45 on Saturday morning, and Bullwinkle will be ready to make its way in front of Macy's at that point. No, wrong parade, my bad. But it'll be. It's always fun, but yeah, TV has a way to make it unfun very quickly.
Yeah, no doubt. So anyway, on the show, let's get it started right now. Always great to see you, though. You look sharp. I like the jacket. I like the lapel pin. Got your pictures in the background.
Oh man, it's it's great for the radio deal. I try to create it when I'm on camera. As you know, as a radio guy, when it comes to being on camera, I try to create as many distractions and diversions as possible. So I even, you can't tell, but this one behind me, which means nothing to our radio audience, but the picture over my shoulder is my son Hudson with his namesake, who's one of my favorite people and yours, Wendell Hudson.
Oh yeah.
So that's Hud and Hud in the picture over my shoulder there.
Nice. I was telling some Wendell Hudson stories on the Elephant in the Room podcast. We're both on Roll Tide Pods. We do. You've got a show on there. We got a show on here, and I was talking about how terrible it was. I'm just going to be honest. It was awful calling women's basketball because it's just no one cares. But at the same time, when he was the head coach, it was great. I enjoyed it. I had so much fun just hanging out with him all the time, and he took over a program that was just awful and actually brought it back up to respectability. He doesn't get the credit he deserves, but I love him. I mean, you named your son after him, and the reason why is he's one of the best people I've ever met.
Yeah, I agree. Could not agree more. Got a really nice text from him after the ball game Saturday. You know how it works is, we call games and we do a fantastic job. You lose and you're just not going to hear from anybody, but you could stumble all over yourself in calling a game-winning call, and people are going to call and tell you how great it was because the team won. Mm-hmm. It's not really about us. It's about the team, but HUD, they played the clip on CBS after Alabama won the game on Saturday, one of our radio clips from the network, and I had probably 25 texts about that after the game, and HUD was one of them, and that was really cool.
Yeah, that's great, man. That makes 2 straight years where you've got to call the Texas A&M Alabama game. They've both been really good.
Yeah, finishes down to the stretch, and I'd rather beat them 100, to be honest. So it's Jimbo. It's not really them. It's Jimbo. But right. Cutting their hearts out ain't bad either. That's kind of enjoyable as well.
Oh man, I guess I couldn't remember if I wanted to talk to you on the radio show about Nick Saban in the process, but I just got to ask you, what's it like bouncing back and forth with Eli? I mean, how's that experience? I don't know if I've ever seen this in football.
Yeah, look, it's not ideal for either one of us, but high level of respect between us. We've been friends a long time. Eli was great checking on me when I was sick 4 years ago at this time, and even before that when I had my stroke in my sleep. But he was great then, and I tried to be there for him. Having experienced that, some of the things that he went through, just being hospitalized, even though our ailments were different, I understood what it was like to be at Spain Rehabilitation in Birmingham, which is where we both were for a while. So I was able to hopefully talk to him and share with some things. But we're professionals. We're doing the assignments that we're given and trying to do them the best that we can, and understanding that it's about Alabama. It's about the game. It's about the team. It's about the fans. It's not about us. So when we're on the mic in whatever role that we have, we're trying to do the best we can, and hopefully that's the case. And people are enjoying and getting the information they need, whether it's a home or a road game.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, well, let's get this radio show cranked up. You'll know because here come the beats.
You got it.
Saturday. Welcome back to the original Bama Football Tailgate Show, getting you set for Alabama and Arkansas, 11 a.m. kickoff, the kind that our next guest loves. And we're going to talk about those at Bryant-Denny Stadium, the early games, and what Nick Saban means to the process. But first, let me remind you guys that the Tailgate Show is brought to you by Sevierville. Visit Sevierville. Right now is a great time, fall, to visit the Smoky Mountains. You've got 4 different self-guided fall tours that drive you through the back roads and highlight historical points of interest and beautiful fall views. You can get maps and videos and more and make your plans at visitsevierville.com/fall. Really awesome time of year. I'm actually going up there in a couple weeks. So love the mountains. And Bama's going to be off here soon. I know a lot of you guys like to travel. So, and we got a ton of people in our audience that go to Sevierville. All right. Well, it's great to talk to the longtime broadcaster for the Crimson Tide Sports Network and my good buddy, Chris Stewart. Man, haven't had you on the show in a while. It's great to see you again and talk to you.
Always good to talk. Yeah, always good to talk to you, buddy. It's so funny because you and I go way back. I still can't believe I get to do what I do. And then when I'm referred to as long time, and it's accurate, it's on the money. I mean, it's been almost, well, in one role or another, going back to the cable television days, when they were locally produced. I mean, it's more than 25 years ago when I started doing football and some baseball broadcast and basketball as well. But 24 on radio for baseball, 21 on basketball for play-by-play, going into my 22nd here pretty soon. It's crazy to think that it's really been that long.
Yeah. Well, I just try to make you feel a little older than me, because I don't like that term long-term either.
That alarm clock goes off, man. That alarm clock goes off, brother, and I feel as old as I need to feel. I promise.
Yeah, right. I was a student when you were doing baseball. Because I was doing the games on the college radio station. Now look at us now. A couple guys just.
I'd rather not.
Yeah, just listen. All right, so we've been there through the whole process. I feel like this season for Nick Saban has been, we're halfway there, but I just feel like that this has been one of the toughest seasons for the team. But it's also starting to turn into one of his most rewarding seasons because you can see the process starting to play out again, which we wondered, would this happen?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but it's kind of like walking around backstage at a Miss America pageant going, okay, well, who's the ugliest woman here? They're all beautiful, but somebody's going to be prettier than others. That's a tough call sometimes on who that is. But in this case, good grief, how many teams would love to be in Alabama's spot right now? But the problem is, and I've said this before, probably on here with you, but I've said it many times, everybody else in America is judged against Alabama still. I know Georgia's won the last 2 titles, but when people are having big conversations, most of the time, the conversation is based on who you are versus Alabama. Alabama's teams are judged against the best of Alabama in the past. So this team right here, with a third-year quarterback but first-year starter in Jalen Milroe, is being judged against Bryce Young, Matt Jones. Go through any of the guys that have been there, Tua and Jalen. That's an incredible run of quarterbacks that you've had. What is it, 4 starting quarterbacks now in the National Football League? that's a tough filter to be looked at through. And I said this the other day to somebody. I said, if this were maybe 10 years ago, the conversation about Jalen Milroe would be about, man, is he going to be great when he's a senior? Well, now the conversation is, all right, why aren't you great right now? Let's move on to somebody else. And that happened for a game. And then everybody realized what Nick Saban had a pretty good idea of, and that's that Jalen Milroe is your best option at quarterback. Go play. So I say all of that, Mick, to say that this team is not as good as some of the teams we've seen over the course of the last 15 years under Nick Saban, 15 or 16. But I don't think it's a bad football team. It's one that needs to get better. It's one that's got to improve. But I think they've definitely got the pieces to improve and to be a very good squad by the time this is all said and done.
What did you do to bring back Angry Saban? Was it one of the questions in your post-game interview with him?
I went, look, Nick, you know better than that.
No, I'm kidding, but I'm so glad he's back,
I know.
Chris. I missed him.
But, again, I think that's also twofold, Mick. Part of it is when you're watching on television, which is how most people consume a game, okay? There's a lot of people that are at Alabama games, but most of the people are watching on television, hopefully listening on radio, but most we know are watching on television. Well, when you're watching on TV, you're at the mercy of what the producer or director gives you and shot-wise. So I've got a feeling Nick Saban was probably losing his mind some early in the year. You just weren't seeing it as often as you are right now. They may not have caught it as much. Now, that being said, I also don't think he was going off to the degree that he had in the past. And the reason I think that's the case, may be wrong. He may tell me I'm an idiot. I would deserve it. But I do feel like part of the reason is he knew that whether it was Jalen or one of the other two guys at quarterback, Ty or Tyler, it was going to be a learning curve for them. It was going to be a little bit of a rough road, rocky road early. And in Jalen's case, at the start of the year, if you say to him, if you jump him, like we've seen Saban jump before, and as he did this weekend, especially late when they threw the ball and it stopped the clock as opposed to that becomes a situation where your kid may blow up. Your kid goes with the mindset of, uh-oh, I'm coming out. Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. I wonder if I'm going to lose my job. That can be the mindset initially. Now that I think Jalen should be very clear and comfortable in knowing that the job is his, he can go play, and coach can go coach him and not worry about how it's heard or how it's received, and probably not having to worry about how he responds to it at that level. Terry and Arnold had the great statement last week that you've got to hear what coach says, not how he says it. And I think now Nick Saban is probably a little more free to say what he needs to say, however he wants to say it, to the quarterbacks. And obviously right now, that's primarily Jalen.
Yeah. Look, it's been a really interesting season so far. And now Arkansas at 11 a.m. This is another tough game. I don't feel like this team can sleep on anyone. I mean, I really feel like they have to play good football to beat any of these teams on their schedule. But this is a good week for them to look past their opponent, because you got Texas A&M and Jimbo and what that's turned into. And then you got Tennessee coming up. But I was talking about this with Jake Coker on the Elephant in the Room podcast yesterday. There's never been a coach that's better at having his teams ready for these games, because he hasn't lost these type of games because he's so cognizant of the fact that if the team's not ready, they could lose. And so I think he coaches them different. And that's what Jake was saying. The attention to detail on these weeks is really heightened by Nick Saban, or at least that's one of the tools he's used in the past. Have you noticed any of that stuff?
No, absolutely. And Jake obviously can speak to it better than I can, but I do think this Arkansas team, while they have not put together a very good record, is really dangerous, very competitive. Anytime you got a guy like KJ Jefferson at quarterback, you're going to have a chance to win. And they've been in position to do it. They just haven't been able to finish ball games. And if you let them hang around, if you don't take their spirit away early, which I think Bama is capable of doing, but if you don't put them down early on, I think you can be in for a heck of a fight in the fourth quarter. Not that I'm saying Arkansas is looking for a reason to give up, but when pretty despondent pretty quickly. Long is hearing the message over and over again from their head coach about being locked in, being focused, and being on guard against a Razorback team that could be dangerous.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. Well, you know what? One more question about Nick Saban, and you get to talk to him. You get to go through the film study with him and stuff. What's that experience like? Seems like you get him laughing in there some, and that's always good to see. I like happy Saban too, not just angry Saban.
Yeah. Well, for a second, I was like, what the heck are you talking about? He ain't bringing me into staff meetings, but you're referencing the TV show where he will break down a play on the home games afterwards. And yeah, he got a little cracked up the last time we did that. Was it Ole Miss at home, I guess?
The
Ole
block
Miss was
punt.
the last home game. They had the block punt. And normally when he does one of those plays, he references, and this set us up for this, or it set us up for this, and we did this from there. Well, if you recall, Bama blocks the punt. They got it 1st and goal at the 1 and immediately go backwards and only get 3 out of it. And he caught himself getting ready to set up what it allowed them to do, and he realized there was nothing really positive to talk about after that. And he kind of got tickled. But it's amazing, Mick. I bet that week, in the week from when that aired through Saturday of the next week, I bet I had 15 people reference that to me and say almost exactly what you did about seeing him kind of laugh, kind of happy. And make no mistake, he wasn't really happy, but he did kind of crack himself up that he'd gone to all this effort to draw up this great play that did occur, and then we got diddly squat out of. Well, we got 3, but it easily should have been 7 that Bama got out of it. So wasn't much to talk about positive afterwards, but it was positive in the moment that they, at least got the job done in special teams.
Yeah, and also maybe we won't go out of shotgun from the 1-inch line anymore.
No comment, but I would say.
Yeah. Well, he said that.
Yeah, he
did. Yeah. Well, Chris, great talking to you.
What he says goes. So I got to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm going to take his word for it. Keep up the great work, though, man. We've talked about you a lot. Thanks, and love listening to you on the football games and watching you on the shows and, and obviously everything else you do, basketball coming up as well. So keep up the great work, man. Roll Tide.
Thanks, buddy. All Roll Tide. Always great to talk to you.
You too. All right, that's Chris Stewart. When we come back, we're going to talk more Alabama and Arkansas. The original Bama Tailgate Show rolls on right after this.